This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, welcome into the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. It's Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. We have made it through week one. It's the Larry Zonka episode 39. We've made it through week one of college football. And just a reminder, we are going to 2 episodes per week now. We're doing a recap show Tuesday, a preview of the upcoming week on Thursday. It's just Ethan and I tonight. We're hanging out. We just wanted the best looking guys of the podcast on here today. So it's just us. We're gonna, I think Grant still hasn't recovered from Iowa sneaking past South Dakota State.
I don't even call it that.
Limping, crawling, hopping, something like that. They snuck by. They got a win. All what matters, 1-0. Michigan took care of Colorado State like I said. Minnesota took care and covered against New Mexico State. Whoever the idiot is that said New Mexico State was covered should be shunned. But Minnesota covered. They're 1-0. They got another tough one against Western Illinois, but we'll talk about that later in the week. We'll start this show with the Iowa-South Dakota State game. That game kicked off right away at 10 Mountain Time on Fox Sports 1. And I don't know about you, Ethan, but my eyes are still bleeding from that game.
Yeah, I actually bleached mine after, and I still can't see. So it's not going well.
You bleached them. That's probably a good thing. You should have done it before the game.
I know. Now I have all these. I don't know. I have all these excuses now if I don't want to look at something.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, you did this in hopes you didn't even have to look at Grant. He didn't even show his face.
I know. He couldn't even do it. He should have put a paper bag on, to be honest, if he was going to come on tonight.
Yeah, but
he should have been a Browns fan.
Well, if they lose to Iowa State next week, he might have to.
If they lose, he's wearing an Iowa State shirt on the podcast.
We might make him. That might be part of the bet, because I guarantee you he's going to be full of himself. He's going to be very confident that Iowa will still find a way to beat Iowa State. So we might catch him at a weak moment. So that's something to stay tuned for. But 7-3, 2 safeties from Iowa and a field goal. Ugly game. The defense looked good. They looked like they took care of business. They did a good job of keeping Gronowski uncomfortable all game, not really able to do a whole lot. They had one play where it could have been a touchdown, but I think Iowa's pressure got to him to where he wasn't able. He ended up having to rush it and overthrow it. If he completes that, South Dakota State won that game. And South Dakota State also had some injuries where Tucker Kraft, their tight end, all Missouri Valley tight end, went out. I think that's also a factor. But
top 3 tight end in the draft. Like, he's a freaking stud.
And I know Stiegelmeier, their South Dakota State head coach, John Stiegelmeier, was saying that this is the best offense they've had. I don't quite see that. I know Iowa's defense is legit, but I still think probably by the time they play NDSU, that you expect that offense to take off. But Gronowski still is a little bit deterred by his coming off that leg injury. We'll see if he's able to improve. I don't even know who they play this week, but Iowa's got to figure out something on offense. I was surprised they did a little bit of a 2-quarterback system last year, but this year I thought they would go to Padilla at some point just for something different. Because
I honestly am starting to think it's almost like a recruiting thing. They don't want to know, they don't want people to know they couldn't develop Petrus, and like it could be used against them in recruiting. Like, I don't see another way what else it could be at this point, because he's absolutely god awful. Like, he is the worst quarterback in the Power 5, and honestly, it might not be close.
Well, and it's very interesting because they had a 4-star recruit come in last year, the COVID year.
Petrus is a 4-star.
But what I'm saying is they had Deuce Hogan, who came in very highly touted as the next great Iowa quarterback.
Yeah.
And he transferred over to Kentucky, and he got
gone.
And he got named the backup, and they said, and his knock at Iowa, according to Ferentz, was that he wasn't consistent enough. And what Kentucky head coach Mark Stoops said was he got the backup job was because of his consistency. So
Mhm.
I don't. In Iowa, that their offensive coordinator is the head coach's son. He's not going to fire him, but for the love of God, they have to do something. They have to change on the offense because they're still stuck in the 1990s where it's so obvious when they're going to run the ball. Nothing changes with them, and sometimes it's good, but they don't have the personnel to. They don't have any receivers to throw to this year because they're all
No.
injured. I like in our group chat, you said it, like I don't know how they're going to score more than 14 points in a game this year,
No.
other than they might be able to break something. But
Seriously.
it's our prediction of Minnesota taking the West looks pretty good, and it might even
Pretty wide open.
it's gonna be might be a we said it was gonna be a 2 to 3 horse race between Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa. I know I did, and then you said it was between Minnesota, Iowa. I this might come down to the battle for the axe the Saturday after Thanksgiving in Camp Randall.
Yeah. So here's a stat from the Iowa 247 guy, David Eichholt. In the last 9 Iowa football games, Iowa's offense has scored 66 points. In those 9 games, the defense and special teams combined have scored 77. 9 games, the defense is outscoring the offense. 9.
That's you're not going to win too many games with that.
And yet they've probably won over half of those games just solely because their defense got so many turnovers, and they got lucky. They didn't even get any on Saturday. They got pretty damn. They're so lucky to get that win.
Yeah, because yes, South Dakota State was the only team that forced the 2 turnovers. The one where Iowa was about to score, and that would have put the game up, which was a great play by I think his name was Jack. Yeah, he's an Iowa native. He said he had that game circled on since he committed. And it was a great I don't even think you can be mad at the running back there. I think it was just that good of a play by him.
And honestly, they dropped probably at minimum 1 pick six, South Dakota State, that one over the middle, the cornerback, wide open lane, but just barely dropped it. There's another one they dropped. It's just like the amount of turnovers they could have had that Petrus forced was just ridiculous.
And some of it isn't even on Petrus. It's just because receivers can't get any separation either because their top 3 receivers are all out with injuries.
Yeah, Regini's out, Johnson's out. I mean, Arlen Bruce is really the only one that's like there. It's like, don't even start talking about Charlie, whatever his name, something Charlie, whatever the guy that transferred to Purdue. That's just gonna make them cry. But jeez, my gosh, that room's terrible. And the O-line, they might have even taken a step back. They got manhandled up front. They were terrible.
Yeah, I don't have the stats in front of me. I'd be curious what the yardage was overall as far as
like per carry.
Yeah, per carry or what. If I wouldn't be shocked if South Dakota State outgained them.
No, I think Iowa did outgain them actually, but it couldn't have been by much.
No, because as much as South Dakota State played in the shadow of their own end zone, Iowa still couldn't move the ball.
Iowa had 109 yards total. Total yards 166. Let's see, South Dakota State had 122, and Iowa averaged 1.6 yards a rush versus an FCS team, which granted they're probably a top 2 or 3 FCS team, but come on, like seriously.
They were number 3 in the FCS poll that came out Monday when we're recording this. But yeah, it was ugly game. They got a big game coming up. We'll see. We'll have Grant back on to join us on Thursday, and we'll see how he feels. Give him a chance to defend the program he roots for. And I do like the smugness, Ethan, of you taking a sip of that wine as we're talking Iowa, because
you're damn right. Eat shit, Grant.
And we'll move over to the other game that was going on at 10. That one was on ABC. It was Michigan, Colorado State. Michigan took care of business. Defense, 11 tackles for losses, 7 sacks. A big question mark coming in after they had to replace 2 first-round draft picks in David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson. And I texted this in the group chat, you guys. Braden McGregor. Remember that name. He's built just like Aiden Hutchinson, 6'6", 260. Lived in the backfield. He got a sack. Mike Moore, another guy who Mike Morris, excuse me, who has been, the coaches haven't stopped talking about him. He played really well. He might not show up in the stack book, but he was living in the backfield as well. Derek Moore was another freshman too to keep an eye on. He also played well. And then and he didn't play a whole lot because he was kind of a late signee from the transfer portal. Iabi Amoni. He was played 2 years at Alabama, 2 years at UT Martin. He was on the SEC all freshman team in 2018, and he got a sack on his first play. So he's someone, I think, as his conditioning builds up and he gets more familiar with the system, I think he's going to be another one to step up, and because you're not going to replace, it's not going to be a two-person. I don't even know the amount of sack. I know Aiden had 17. I think Ojaba had 11. I think if you're able to get production and do it by committee, I think that's going to be just fine. But the biggest concern for me still is the offense. They struggled in the red zone. They were able to move the ball 20-20, but they had to settle for some more field goals than I would have liked, which has been a common theme with Harbaugh. But if they're able to keep progressing like they did last year, and then in big games find ways to get touchdowns instead of settling for field goals like they did against Ohio State, like they did against Penn State on the road, I like the direction. Cade looked very shaky. He missed some easy throws. And McCarthy, when he came in, and he's going to be starting on Saturday against Hawaii, he looked good. You could tell there was a little bit more pep in the step. I don't think Cade played as bad as what some people are saying. He did miss a couple, but he really seemed to settle in. There was one, I know Cornelius Johnson had one on a crossing route in the red zone that would have been a touchdown that he missed on. Ronnie Bell had a drop that would have extended a drive, would have been on a first down, but I like the improvement. We'll see. My gut says that I think at this point, after one game, it's JJ's job to lose. We'll see, because he's playing against the Hawaii team who is not good at all. Michigan's opens as a 50-point favorite. So we'll see what happens, but we'll move over to your game on Thursday. Were you able to watch the whole game against New Mexico State?
Yeah, I watched almost all of it. Honestly, my biggest takeaway was probably with Tanner Morgan and just how he commanded the offense. Like last year, it looked like he was just lost. Like he wasn't even close to what the guy back in 2019 with the Bateman and Johnson crew. Like, and I'm not saying he was anything close to that on Thursday either, but he had more zip. His arm looked stronger than ever. He looked more slimmed down, showed much better pocket presence. He multiple times just stood in there, took a hit, delivered the ball, or else moved around the pocket. Didn't so much scramble, but just bought time outside and then hit somebody. And then the biggest one was he went through his reads. He's always been known just to kind of stare the first guy down and maybe hit the second guy. There are multiple times he hit the fourth guy. So the fourth read. So it's like, that's what I love. He scrambled for a 15-yard gain. Like, that's just not the Tanner Morgan we saw last year, not even close. So that's what I like seeing. I mean, I knew New Mexico State might have been the worst team I've ever seen play football. They were freaking awful. I think their offense gave up after the second quarter. I mean, they had 33 offensive plays. That's it. Like, I don't even think I've heard of that before. 91, yeah. I think, total yards, if they even had that. Like, I think 30 of them came on one, like, ridiculous catch by some receiver. But, like, they were just god-awful. Their defense wasn't terrible. They really just set everyone back, so we wouldn't hit them with, like, any big plays. It was mostly just runs with Ibrahim and Potts. But even then, Ibrahim looked more explosive than he did before his Achilles. So
that's
a lot of good takeaways out of it. Yeah, they're going to need it. Line was okay. I wouldn't say they were great. Most of Mo's yards came after contact. That's kind of just who Mo is at the same time. So kind of hard to judge, and this weekend isn't going to be any better in terms of who they're playing or anyone, or talent or toughness or anything. And heck, even Colorado looked freaking awful their third game. So I don't think you're really going to know a whole lot until they go to Michigan State here, first Big Ten game.
Yeah, well, and Michigan State didn't even look that good against Western Michigan.
No. I mean, Western Michigan is obviously better than what most of the Big Ten teams played, but even then, they're still meh.
Yeah, and I didn't get to watch any of the Michigan State game because I was coaching my own game. We won, by the way, 148-16, and I just kind of was looking at Twitter after, and they were saying Michigan State looked a little bit underwhelming after good last year, which I think we've talked about on this podcast. I kind of expect Michigan State to take a step back because they had a losing an All-American running back and they lost one of their top receivers. We'll see if Peyton Thorne can take that next step and not rely on that running game because I don't think they'll have the running back that they had last year.
Oh,
And you can't really replace a guy and it's hard doing a bit of a disservice here saying because there's only one Kenneth Walker that's going to come around every so often.
I mean, they still got Berger. They got that transfer that's pretty good from Colorado. So, I mean, they still have like solid running backs, but obviously not to like a Heisman level like Kenneth Walker was. But I don't know. Thorne just didn't do a lot for me on Saturday. I feel like every big play he had was just a jump ball, and his receivers were bigger than and just bullied him on the outside. That's really
that's what it was. That's what it was last year too.
Yeah, it's the same.
Where most of it was, and it goes their way. Football's it goes in cycles where you get those 50-50 balls majority of the time. The next year you don't. So we'll see what happens. But
their defense didn't look very much changed either. I mean, Western Michigan threw the ball on them, but they just stalled most of their drives.
Yeah. But the one time I think I saw the little bit I watched of that back to the Minnesota-New Mexico State game, the little bit I watched was because most of my time was watching that Purdue Penn State game, and we'll talk a little bit after I'm done here. But the one time New Mexico State had a chance to score and it would have gotten me the cover is when they drove down and then their quarterback just decides to throw it up right, and the Minnesota defensive back made a heck of a play, but that cost me a cover. It would have been 38-3. 36.5. There you go. I got it. But no. Yeah. Damn Jerry Kills.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Michigan State stats right now. Thorne was only 12 of 24. So like almost all of that was just bullshit. Toss it up and pray. So
yeah.
I really don't think they'll be that good. Their O-line wasn't fantastic, and their defense isn't very good either. They were time of possession was 15 minutes in favor of Western Michigan. So
Western Michigan held the ball for 15 more minutes than them?
37 minutes to 22.
What?
Yeah, they moved the ball. I told you, they moved the ball up and down. They just could not finish drives.
Well, they need your current head coach back there. I bet you they would have finished drives.
Probably. Yeah, they had 2 fumbles. I think both of them were in the close to the red zone.
Okay. Man, but yeah, we'll switch over to the Penn State Purdue game, which was a great game.
That was fun.
Purdue, it was coaching malpractice by Jeff Brom. What the hell are you doing throwing the ball? And it was baffling. And Sean Clifford, if anything, because both teams had preseason hype about them being representing their respective divisions. I walked away from that game thinking neither one's got a chance because Sean Clifford's going to screw it up, or for Purdue's side, Jeff Brom's going to screw it up because he likes to throw the ball too much.
60 times, to be exact.
For what? You had the ball late with the lead. Just run the ball. Make them use their timeouts. And
even if you get 2 yards, who gives a shit? You're wasting time. You're killing the clock,
Well, and it wasn't like they weren't getting any yards on the ground. They were moving the ball fairly decent. They were getting 3-4 yards a pop.
Yeah, they averaged 3 a clip.
But so even then, you're at 3rd and 4. All you need is a 4-yard run, and depending on where you're at, you should be able to get a yard or an inch. But yeah, like I said, Sean Clifford doesn't. And Penn State fans, I think, are sick of him. They're kind of, you could hear the moans and groans from the few Penn State fans that were in there and just following it along on Twitter. And Joel Klatt did bring up a good point about that is when you have a quarterback who's been there for as long as he has, he's got a very similar trajectory that Mitch Leidner had, I think. He started off real hot, and then it just wasn't good enough, and everybody kind of just got sick of him. And it's because either if he's there for that long, that means he wasn't good enough to leave.
Yeah. He's almost like old news.
And Penn State does have a 5-star quarterback as their backup, and you got to see a little bit of him when he came in. I don't know how well he did, but
He was 2 of 4 for 26 yards, but it sounds like I wasn't watching, but Grant told me he overthrew a guy pretty bad on a key third down. So that was pretty much wide open. But I mean, he's a true freshman. Like,
yeah.
in an environment, a blackout at Purdue, like that's one of the hardest environments to play in. Even if, I mean, it is Purdue, but just ask Ohio State how hard it is to play there.
Right. And as we record this, we have Georgia Tech Clemson going on, and Clemson's going for it on a 4th and goal, and they just walked in. Finally. I'm not feeling great about this. It looks like the same DJ Uyunglele.
Yeah, they don't look that great so far.
I don't know. Do you have it on too?
Yeah, I've been kind of peeking over at it. I'm
okay.
Through 3 drives. I like my NC State pick.
Yeah, there you go.
3 whole drives, baby.
Yeah, well, NC State didn't look that great either. They needed missed kicks to beat ECU.
Yeah, but hey, credit to them for going to ECU. I mean, they're not a great program, but they're not terrible.
They consistently make it to a bowl.
Yeah.
But we'll move over to another Thursday game, Pitt, West Virginia, which was a fantastic game. It was the first backyard brawl since 2011, and it lived up to the hype. That was a fantastic game. It was back and forth. Pitt jumped out to an early lead. West Virginia came back, took the lead, and they were leading. Big play by Pitt. And then as West Virginia, with a tie game, is going, they're moving the ball, and I think it was like a 2nd and 2 or something. JT Daniels throws it, bounces off the receiver's hands. Pitt returns it for a touchdown, and I thought the doors were going to blow off of whatever the new name of the old Heinz Field was.
Yeah, I don't even know.
And then West Virginia had a chance to tie it, and it was about as close as you could get. It was originally ruled a catch, and then replay shows that he dropped it. And he did. It was a good call, but both those teams, I think, are going to be tough in their respective conferences.
Yeah.
And
my favorite thing about that game was I was just kind of scrolling through the Wisconsin message board on 247 Sports, just kind of see what they were saying about the game so far. And all of a sudden, some dude goes and claims Graham Mertz is better than both of Slovis and Daniels. So that was my big chuckle for the night.
Huh.
So that very much made my Thursday. It was very honestly embarrassing to even read that, to think for someone to actually think that. But I know that game was phenomenal. Probably going to be a top 10 game all year, honestly. And it was literally the 3rd game of the season. Like, back and forth. I mean, that kid has to feel terrible for that pick 6.
Yeah.
Just right through his hands.
And that was the best I've ever seen JT Daniels look since he's been in college. He looked comfortable. He looked confident.
He was still undefeated at Georgia. That's as crazy as that is. Or 7-1, something like that. Like,
he just didn't. There was something about it. Like, he just seemed off there. I don't know what it was, but there was something like where he just. I think his biggest thing was he was so inconsistent. He could never get any consistency, and then he got hurt too, which doesn't help either. And then Stetson Bennett they rolled the hot hand, and which I guess we can just segue over to that game. That game was about as exciting as the semifinal playoff game was.
Yeah.
And that's I think, and we talked about it on Thursday's podcast, is, Oregon's season is going to go how if we get good Bo Nix or bad Bo Nix. And we got worse than bad Bo Nix on.
Yeah. Like freshman year, bad Bo Nix type game.
Yep. And we'll see. A lot of season left. Oregon's going to, I'm sure they'll find a way to turn it around. I think Dan Lanning's a good coach, but Georgia just they're not rebuilding. They just reloaded. That pick that corner made, it was a true freshman making his first start.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the one-handed one. Yeah.
Jesus, that's insane.
So Georgia looks like they are not missing a beat. We'll see if Stetson Bennett looked even better than his last year, and see if he progresses as well. If he does, it's over. It's a
I was
collision
gonna say
course.
they look even more explosive than last year on offense. And
Yeah.
that's saying something. Like Darnell Washington, their 6'7" tight end, looked like the freakiest athlete I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. And they were saying that Georgia has like 3 tight ends that are NFL prospects right now.
Yeah,
Something like
because
that.
they still got that. What's the white guy's name again?
I can't think of the
Bowers?
name.
No,
Yeah,
I think it's
something like
yeah.
that.
They have Bowers, they have Washington. Like they are freaking loaded right now.
And yeah, if Stetson Bennett keeps improving and looks more confident each from week to week, they might fight could put up more of a fight than we initially thought against Alabama.
Yeah,
But
gonna give them everything they want.
yeah. And
Where's that game? Do they play in the regular season this year? Or
no,
They don't.
they hardly ever play because there's so many
Mhm.
teams in the SEC.
I know. They should make that a thing. Oh, come on.
They played in 2020 in the COVID year, and Alabama blew the doors off them like they did every team. But I don't know the next time they play.
It has to
And
be next, I would think. But
next year, the year after, yeah, we'll see.
we deserve 2 games of that every year.
We should, and then yeah, well, they could knock a team out because if they lose another conference game, we won't get to. But
SEC team, and an SEC team will be the first 2-loss team in the playoff. Let's be real.
yeah, oh for sure. But we'll move over to another night game to a night game that was the ESPN game of the week. College Game Day was there. They've fallen off. It was. I don't know if you watched any of it, but it was.
I didn't.
I don't understand if they're just that desperate where they got Jack Harlow to do the guest picker, which I mean, yeah, he's one of the more famous artists, but you have the two of the most storied programs, top 5 for sure, top 3 probably outside of Alabama. Yeah. And you have all the alumni, all the pageantry, all the tradition, and you choose Jack frickin' Harlow. Are you kidding me? For your guest picker?
They do the same thing every year. There's no difference from here to 5 years ago, and they're at NDSU. You know, there's no difference in what they do anymore. It's like you got to change at some point to keep people engaged. Like they're not just going to watch the same shit every Saturday.
I actually switched over to the SEC network and I watched the whatever it is where they have a better cast than what Game Day is. Outside of Kirk Street, it's just not entertaining anymore.
Lee Corso's just a fuck. He's an idiot. Like
he's old. He's old, and all he's good for is the headgear.
Literally, that's the only reason they should even have him on the TV, because literally anything you say, 1, you can barely understand him, and 2, it probably doesn't make sense anyway.
Yeah, and well, SEC Network it had John Daly as a guest picker.
That's pretty great.
At 9:00 in the morning, I'm not gonna lie, I'm drunk.
Yeah.
Which is the only way I would expect John Daly to be on a show like 100%. That.
But they were at Arkansas, right? Obviously.
Yeah. Yep. They have Marty Smith, Feinbaum.
Oh, they took him off. Okay.
Ryan McGee. I'm trying to think who else, but they were all.
Feinbaum, was he in there?
Yeah. Yep. I said Feinbaum. Ryan McGee, Marty Smith. I'm trying to think who else they had, but that cast is far better. Who?
Tebow? Was Tebow back on there?
Yep. Tebow.
Yep.
Tebow was there, and
he's really good, actually. I mean, I hate him as a player, but he's freaking really good on TV.
Yeah, and it was way more entertaining. It was a lot smarter. Aaron Rodgers' brother, I believe. Takeo Spikes was a big talker there, but that was the day before.
Florida playing, and I was upset it wasn't Takeo Spikes.
But I'm a huge Marty Smith fan, so I love listening to his stuff. I've read his book, and he's got a good podcast out too. But we'll move back over to the Ohio State Notre Dame game, and Notre Dame hung in there. They battled. They've got a legit defense. I think in the end, their offense is awful. They have no skill guys. Their quarterback is a poor man's John O'Korn. And in the end, Ohio State, they came out sluggish, but one of the big questions coming in is are they tough? Well, with the lead, they went 14 plays, took 7 minutes off the clock and pounded it in. and went 90. It was, I believe, like a 90-yard drive. So did that, and we'll see. The defense is there's still some questions. We'll see once they face a better offense. But Ohio State looked good. The offense was a little sluggish. Their receivers were off. Smith and Jigba was in and out of the game. He was injured, but
Did he come back in the second half? That's when I stopped watching.
he was on and off. There were a lot of times they'd look over and he was on the sideline. But
Yeah, he just didn't look right.
But if Ryan Day would ever just decide that we're gonna be a running team and we're gonna run it down your guys' throat, it wouldn't be close. But he won't. He refuses to do it because he's got to show off his toys. And they have what's that?
Is their O-line that good?
I mean, it's solid.
I mean, and Henderson's a freak.
That too, yeah. Exactly. So it's one of those things. And you look at that game, and then there's two games that come to mind where if they were to, when they decided we're just going to run it down your throat because we're better than you, is this game against Notre Dame. And then in the 2020 COVID year when they played Northwestern in the Big Ten Championship, where they couldn't throw the ball. So they just said, we're going to run it, ride Trey Sermon. And they ended up winning going away.
Didn't he run for 300 freaking yards or some shit that game?
They ran, I think as a team, he had like 270 himself.
I was going to say, he was damn near 300 alone if he wasn't.
Yeah. And most of it all came in the second half.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I hope
the defense actually looked improved. I mean, I know Notre Dame's offense didn't light it up by any standards, but their defense looked much more capable than they were last year. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll see if they keep improving and go from there. But then we'll move over to the Sunday game. And oh boy, was that a game. What a game that one was.
You're missing
one. Oh no, I'm not. No, I had it down. Yeah, we'll stay on Saturday. Okay. And the Utah Florida Ethan's national championship team, their title hope, they took a little bit of a hit. They were up with about 2 minutes to go. The AR-15 Anthony Richardson, the Heisman campaign started there, and I think in the end, Utah, the Florida Heat just got to him. They got worn down, and then it was an awful interception by the Utah quarterback as they were driving.
Yeah, threw right to him.
And why force it? You're in field goal range. You kick the field goal. You tie the game. You go to overtime.
Really
give yourself a shot.
And I'll say this, on that goal line stand, I still say from the left pylon view, he was in. But I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. But I thought that was a BS call. And they waited so long to call it. Like, they had to, convene for, 30 seconds before they even called anything. So I'm just like, well, shit. Florida just got lucky as fuck. But I don't know. Florida they're the better team. Richardson's legitimate Heisman candidate. He's freaking good.
Yeah. And they're saying that, and he's the reason Dan Mullen is out of a job because he refused to play him.
That's insane to me. I mean, I know Dan Mullen wasn't smart, but yeah, that just seems asinine.
And I don't even think it's that. I think Dan Mullen is a really good coach. I think he just outsmarted himself and couldn't put his pride aside. And
who was his quarterback again last year?
Because he played the year before. He was kind of their running quarterback for Kyle Trask.
Oh.
And yeah, I think it was Emory Jones. I think that was right.
That sounds right. Yeah. Maybe number 7.
He was number 4. Number 4. But
okay.
Utah, they went out. I think that'll be enough for them to win the playoffs because I think Florida might be the second best team in the West or East.
Looked good.
Yeah, big win for Billy Napier in his first game. He did a great. He called a hell of a game too.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And I mean, I don't think going back to kind of Utah and their playoff chances, they're going to get credit for going there. Because when you see a team travel all the way across the country and actually play at this other person's field, it doesn't happen. It's almost always neutral now. So just have the balls to go there. if it gets to that, they should be rewarded for it, if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like they got the doors blown off them either. They competed.
No.
They were in it for the last play, and then Rising went full Ben DiNucci in the FCS playoffs, and
Yeah, not good. Not good.
and just threw an absolute awful interception. Which we'll talk a little bit of NDSU football. They had a win over Drake, 56-14. Started off a little shaky. Drake went right down the field, scored, got up 7-0.
I thought it was 7-7, and I about shit myself.
Yeah.
I was like, how the
Yeah,
hell did
no,
that
it was a really good script by the Drake coaching staff, and went right down, scored. Then NDSU scored, and then Drake was driving the ball again, and they were lining up for a field goal, and then it got blocked, and Destin Talbert ran it in, and then after that, it was over.
Yeah, as it should be.
So that was, it came out a little sluggish. I was surprised by the way Drake was able to move the ball, but some reason to
Well, like
consider
Jeff
they
told
still
us, NDSU's young. They don't have a ton of experience on the defense.
Yes and no. Their back end is very experienced. The linebackers is the biggest question still. They're still waiting for Cole Wisniewski to get back. He was hurt all last year. Or no, it was Cole Wisniewski. And we'll see if he's back next week. It sounded like in warmups he was going full speed in warmups. They're just holding him out, and it looks like they're going to have a battle on their hands when they go down to Arizona in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. That'll be fun.
Yeah. And then North Dakota.
One more Saturday game I'd like to give a shout out. Wisconsin River Falls.
Oh, yeah.
River Falls, Wisconsin, knocked off Elmhurst down in Chicago, 63-0 to start the year. And my little brother, first career touchdown. So, yeah, good day for the Prices.
Yeah, congratulations, Mike. That's a exciting time. And who do they got this week, you said?
They got St. John's. It's
St.
probably
John's,
a
that's
top
right.
15 matchup up in St. Cloud. So that'll be
okay.
I was shocked. They average 6,500 fans a game, St. John's does.
Woo.
For a D3.
Are you going?
So it's going to be I'm going. So it's going to be a pretty electric atmosphere. I'm pretty pumped for it.
That'd be fun, yeah. That'd be fun for sure. And then UND almost was with Nebraska for first
3.5 quarters, I'd say.
Yeah, about 6 minutes left, then Nebraska kind of said we're better than you, but UND hung around. They had a chance to end Scott Frost's career, but he's still kicking for another game, and we'll see if they see what happens after that. They got Georgia Southern, I think, and
that's gonna be tough. They could very well lose that game.
I don't know. Georgia Southern ran that triple option forever. Now they got Clay Helton. That takes some time though to flip around, is getting from a triple option to a regular conventional offense.
Did their coach get fired or what?
Yeah, because it's Clay Helton now, the old USC coach.
Oh, yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know they got rid of. I didn't know they fired him.
Yep.
I thought he just went for a different job.
Nope.
Okay. They weren't terrible ever. I mean, they were damn good.
No, they were a really good FCS power back in the day when they had the other Adrian Peterson won a national champion with them, but we'll see. And we'll move over. Now we will move over to the Sunday game of LSU Florida State. Florida State won 24-23 on a blocked field goal or extra point with no time left, because LSU scored on the last play of the game. Florida State really, Mike Norvell is the luckiest luckiest coach there is this week, because why are you running a toss on the goal line? When you're in that situation with a minute left, you want to make it an onside kick game. Just hand it off. If you take 3 knees, whatever, it's still a 2-possession game, and then you're putting in the hands of the offense has to score. No, he fumbled it. It was on a toss.
Oh, I honestly didn't see a snap of this game, so I honestly have no idea. Yeah,
Florida State moved the ball, or LSU scored to go down 24-17.
Yeah.
Florida State's moving the ball. They're about to go in. They're on the 1-yard line. And Florida State runs a toss, and it goes right through his hands. And actually, before that, too, so Florida State LSU actually stopped Florida State. And then LSU muffed the punt, the second muffed
Jesus.
punt of the game, and Florida State got it down to the 1. I think it was at about the 11 or 12 and got a first down. And then I think it was 2nd and goal with about a minute 40 left. LSU or Florida State fumbles it. LSU recovers it on the LSU 1-yard line. LSU goes the whole length of the field. They get down. It's 1 second left. They get Butte in the back of the end zone.
He's still there.
Yep. And well, he scrubbed his socials, but he was at the at film today, I guess.
Okay.
Just blacking out his social medias because of the negativity after the game. But
Nice.
LSU scores with a second left, and then the one rule on field goal is you block inside. You always block inside. If there's a guy outside, let him go because it's a longer run for him. Well, LSU guy blocks outside. Florida State guy goes right through there, blocks it. Florida State wins. And I can about imagine. And we tweeted this out on our Three Guys Talking Ball Facebook or Twitter page, which you guys should all go follow. And it was it was Big Cat yelling he was dead. He was dead. He was dead. And then he was alive. I'm alive. And Florida State is 1-0. It's a big win for Mike Norvell. Definitely his most signature win. And LSU needs a quarterback. Brian Kelly has his work cut out for him. It was a very sluggish game from them. I think they had the better athletes, better team. They just did not execute, looked sluggish, and LSU fans are already calling for his head, saying he's not going to make it.
Shocking.
Yeah. But that's all we got for this week's games. As a recap.
Clemson just dropped a pick 6.
Yep,
So,
they did. I just watched it. They are up 14-0 as we speak here. In about 2 minutes to go before halftime.
Well, if he was a receiver, he would have caught that.
Probably. That's why he's playing defensive back. Exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll move over to Curveball of the Week because it is my turn this week. And with football season, it's always the best time of the year. You're tailgating and going out to barbecues. It's Labor Day as we're recording this. So got me to thinking when you're going to a barbecue, and not when you're the one that's grilling, but what's your one go-to dish that you're hammering as soon as food's ready and you're getting in line getting the food? What's your side dish that you are going to?
Oh boy. This is any tailgate, or does it have to be like a barbecue?
Barbecue, tailgate, either one.
I'm going for the queso.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't go there without queso. So if you don't make queso at a barbecue or a tailgate, like get the fuck out. Like that's ridiculous. You need to reevaluate your life decisions at that point.
Are you doing the meat and the meat queso or just straight queso?
I feel like it's easiest to do queso, just queso. But if you want the good shit, you got to put the meat in there. You got to get some bacon, some hamburger. You got to get the fresh jalapenos in there. I mean, you got to mix it up and get it a little spicy.
The Rotel. Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
You got to go all out.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. No, can't go wrong with that. And I will something, I guess not super similar, but the cheesy hash browns.
Yep, classic.
Always good. Always good. They're fresh. Get a little crunch on them. It's one of the best delicacies of a tailgate. Baked beans is also a good one. I love some good baked beans as well. And you got any other honorable mentions?
I mean, does fireball shots count?
Yeah.
Yeah, then there we go. It's a staple at Kinnick Stadium. Staple.
This is true. Fireball and Busch Light. That's what fuels that stadium.
It is. It truly is.
That's what keeps the lights on.
I won't be able to get down there this year, but
yeah. One of these years we'll get down there, but
a good time.
baked beans. Can't go wrong with a good potato salad. I'm trying to think what else is good there. And then as far as a main dish, you can't go wrong with ribs, pulled pork, good old fashioned cheeseburger too. That's always
Yeah.
good.
That's what I grilled at work today: cheeseburgers and brats.
There you go. There you go.
Grilled
Yeah,
so much, I
good
used the whole
brats.
tank of propane.
That's a lot of propane. Ooh,
Dude, 200 people I had to grill for. It was a lot of people.
that's what that. How big is your propane tank? Is it just a standard one?
It's a normal size, but my grill's tiny. So it's just like
Oh,
a normal grill, and it doesn't have a double rack or anything. So it's like
Target doesn't have a big grill.
No, we're cheap at my store. A little
Oh,
bit.
you gotta get them to invest in one of them big ones. Get like a smoker hooked up to it too.
My old store had like a $700 one, so
Oh,
they make
really?
it easy. But yeah, this store just gets the two burner.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Well, that puts a wrap on our week one recap of college football. Make sure you tune in on Thursday as we preview the NFL week one games and college football slate. So check us out then. Thank you guys for listening.